and start this video. Welcome, you guys. What's going on? Peace, hotep, assalamu alaikum, shalom, halafia. What's up? It's Family Cash Machine, and we are doing a video today. We're doing a call every day. We do this call. We do our webinar every day, and we teach people about what's going on in the world when it comes to money, economics, cryptocurrency, decentralization, centralization. We call it the money matrix, and the whole ecosystem around the world, globalization, all these different things we talk about. And some people out there in the world saying, why? The reason we talk about it, because it's a problem. It's a huge problem. And the reason we talk about it, there is a huge window of opportunity for those who can see, those that understand something's wrong, and those who want a better way of life. It's actually a solution for that right now in the decentralized technological advancement called cryptocurrencies. And so I was having a little problem today at the bank. And I got a call last week from the bank, and I didn't pay attention to it. And they're always marketing something and selling something, but they're making it so hard. It took me almost a year to get a corporate account with this one corporation that I set up, and nothing wrong with the corporation. I had an attorney set the corporation up. It's just incompetent people in the banks that don't know what the hell they're doing. And then when they just started this quote unquote anti-money laundering laws, and they just started all these regulations here in America, creating more friction for transactions and more stipulations and qualifications and more reasons to not allow you to have a corporate account. They started that about a year and a half ago or 2 years. So when I, wanted to set up a corporate account with this particular account, I got all kind of red tape, red flag, or just incompetent people that didn't know how to apply their simple rules to a simple corporation. It's not hard. You don't have to be a rocket science. But they're making it so hard in America. I don't know about these other countries. I would imagine the other countries are having the same negative effects, because we're all centralized through this one funnel called central banks, international banks. Whether in America, we call ours the Federal Reserve, but they're all funneled through this one system of economics that now is tightening the bolts up on everybody when it comes to bank accounts. And this is why we have over 2.5 billion people around the world that don't qualify for a bank account, whether they don't have a birth certificate. They may be in one of those countries where there's no birth certificate. They may be in one of those countries where they don't have a social, or they don't have access to identification, or they may not be able to keep the minimum amount in a bank account. So, the banks might be just too far for them to travel all the time. So for whatever reasons around the world, 2.5 billion people don't have a bank account. And there's about 50% of the people in the United States that actually have a bank account. 50% don't. So we're talking about 390 million people. So almost 200 million people don't have a bank account for whatever reason. And so it's a huge problem, because without a bank account or the ability to transact, okay, it's going to be very difficult for you financially to be able to prosper and to be able to stimulate any kind of financial stimulation in your life. So banks have taken the advantage of that and charge you guys a lot of fees to do that. But I wanted to talk today about the Nobel Peace Prize winner, or is he a Nobel Peace puppet? That's what we're going to talk about today. Now, in the past, from my experience of Nobel Peace Prize winners, it has always been a very elaborate honor of reverence. It's always been a distinguishing award for distinguished people like Mother Teresa, who lived her whole life to, feed homeless people and, help starvation and things of that nature. She, had a lot of tremendous, things that she did in her life that would attribute to her, I would say, being a great person to receive that kind of award. Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, these type of individuals were the ones who won these Nobel Peace Prize. And I think even Tukey was up for a Nobel Peace Prize, as he wrote several books about, gangs and tried to deter children from being a part of gangs. He did the best he could on death row to stop children and teenagers and some of our youth from following the same path that he followed here in the LA gang, the LA gang environment, which is infested here in Los Angeles, and most of your inner cities around the country is infested with gang activity. And a lot of that has to do directly with economics. But, when you talk about Nobel Peace Prize winners, you talk about people of a high stature caliber that were very noble and very serving, and they served the human race in a very massive manner. So this year, I don't know if it was this year he won it, but he's definitely a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Well, I'm going to show this guy here. Let me share my screen with you guys and show you. The latest Nobel Peace Prize winner is a guy named Paul Krugman. And he is an economist, Nobel economist here. Now, I want to know if he's noble for being an economist or is he noble for being a puppet? We're going to find out in a minute. So in this article, it says Bitcoin is erasing 300 years of monetary evolution. Okay, this is what he's saying. Now, look at this guy here. I don't know. This guy is an economist. Now, it's interesting that the people on the family cash machine, including myself, we all have more common sense and more economic understanding than a quote unquote noble economist. Okay? So is this guy noble economist or is he a noble puppet? What's so noble about it? Because noble means that you're honest. Noble would incur you're trustworthy. Noble would mean that you are a person that will live your life and die for the upliftment and the betterment of the human race. You would live and serve and you would sacrifice to make sure that everything that you do is to the benefit, not detriment, but it's actually to the benefit of the betterment of the society as a whole, okay? Human race, humankind, whether it's black, brown, red, yellow, gold, silver, or green, you are a humanist. You are the noble person. So that title, noble, is a very, 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 it's a very, very, I want to say elevated title. And, I wouldn't call some of these judges noble. I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't call them that. Not with some of the activity that's going on in the justice system right now. And they see this and they are actually contributing to an unbalanced justice system. I wouldn't call some of them noble, okay? And I'm saying that this guy is getting the title of noble. You guys need to, matter of fact, let's look up that word noble before we go into this guy here. I kind of want to look up noble because I know what it means, but I want you guys to really, we're going to determine, is he noble of that title, nobility. It was a title used very loosely back in the dark ages. If you had money, you were a noble. How about that? If you had money, you were noble. He's noble, because they were aristocrats and things of that nature. But let me look up this term, noble. I'm just curious to see the definition. And we'll go ahead and share it with you guys. Noble. Okay, belonging to a hereditary class. See, this is This is classism. With high social and political status, aristocrat. Okay, that's the first meaning that they used, like I said, in the Dark Ages. Blue blood, highborn, titled, entitlement, you know, the nobles. That's what they used it for in Europe. Okay, but the actual term is more having or showing fine personal qualities. So when you win the Nobel Peace Prize, it's not for being from some rich family. Of course, we know that, because most of the people that won it were not from this status of nobility. But the word noble, okay, in its essence, is from being of a fine personal qualities or high moral principles and ideas, righteous, virtuous, good, honorable, upright, decent, worthy, moral, ethical, of a high reputation. So when we speak of Nobel Peace Prize, believe you me, we're speaking it in that connotation of the meaning of that word, Nobel Peace Prize. So this guy here, they're calling Nobel, okay? They're calling this guy the Nobel economist. Now, why are they calling him Nobel? Is it because of his opinion that makes him noble? What is he doing in his opinion that defines him as noble? And what has he done in his life that gives him a characteristics of nobility? Interesting. Let's just visit this article right here, because certain articles disturb me, and certain articles need to be addressed by the Family Cash Machine, because people who don't know anything about cryptocurrencies, they're out here reading this stuff, and because he's the Nobel economist, they would think he knows what he's talking about. But I'm going to show you that this guy here, regular average guy, and his team, Family Cash Machine, and regular average people could chop this guy apart. And he would never, ever want to meet with any one of us in a debate with what he's perpetuating, which is a lie. Okay, now, this is what he's saying. I'm going to share this article with you guys. Let's share my screen. This is what he's saying in this article. And I want to make this the title for today. Okay, Nobel economist Paul Krugman or Nobel puppet. Okay, now he says the American economist Paul Krugman has taken another swing at Bitcoin, arguing that the prominent cryptocurrency, as well as its peers, talking about me, you guys, represent 300-year economic regression. Wow. And will likely experience a total collapse. Isn't that interesting? Let's start with that. He's calling me and all of you guys, okay, individuals that are creating a regression. Regression means backwards. So we're taking the economy backwards, 300 years. He's right. Because 300 years ago or so is when we had a lot of these banks that started, the central bank system started in Europe. And a small group of people decided, we don't care who is the king, who's the emperor, who is the president or prime minister of whatever country, we're going to control the money. We're going to control the money, and we're going to make all the money come through the international central banks. Wow. We're going to loan to governments. We're going to put governments in debt to us, and we're going to control those governments. We don't care who, what personality, what democratic or communist or socialist system they're under. We don't care. Imperialists, we don't care. Fascists, we don't care. We're just going to control the money. We're going to control their currencies. We're going to print their currencies. We're going to loan them their currencies. And we're going to control indirectly by the puppet master strings, because whoever controls the money is our boss, period, is the one that runs everything. So he's right. We are trying to send this thing back and reset it. Okay? We're trying to reset the whole damn thing, because it is because of these entities that we have famine. It's because of these entities that we have wars. It's because of these entities that started some 600 years ago or whatever, And actually 300 years ago, all the money was backed by gold. So yeah, he's right. We're trying to set it all the way back. Let's reset, because it's not backed by anything now. Money is not backed by anything. They're just printing paper with ink on it. This just says on there, Federal Reserve note. It no longer says on the return of this, note, you can receive equal amount of gold to the bearer. It doesn't say that anymore. It doesn't say that anymore. So 300 years ago, it said that. And 300 years ago, most of your fiat currency had gold backing it. So he's right. But that's not how he means it. He means it in a very negative way. And he's trying to make people deceive them. That's why I said, is he a noble guy? Is this guy noble? Because he's attempting to deceptively say that in a negative way, to be interpreted negatively, as though we're trying to send you back to the Stone Ages or something, okay? Now, we're going to deal with this guy here, Paul Krug. And I'm a little emotional. I know you guys can see it. Like, okay, he look a little emotional about this. And yeah, I'm emotional because this guy's lying, and this guy is trying to continue to financially cripple people, okay? With all of his intelligence and all of his degrees and economic, status and understanding, he knows exactly what he's doing. And this is why I'm upset, because he's using his deceptive intelligence. He's using intelligence to deceptively, deceive you. And that's what's making me upset about it, because he knows better, okay? And so he knows exactly what he's doing, okay? So here it is. So he's right. We represent taking this thing back to when it was on gold. It's not a bad thing, is it? Because we represent a group of people that actually want to add value to the currency again that we're trading. And we're trading in Bitcoins and cryptocurrency because it has value. Now let's see what he says. Writing in his article, regular New York Times column, Krugman, who has at various times published articles lambasting Bitcoin as evil. Wow. It's interesting. As evil, and the long cryptocon. He called it the cryptocon, like it's a con in a bad sense. Lays out a case for why his continued skepticism towards cryptocurrency is justified. Now, mind you, he's talking about cryptocurrency as a whole. The Nobel Peace Prize winner. So I'm right. He won a Nobel Peace Prize. But remember, the name of this video is Nobel Peace Prize winner or Nobel Peace puppet. Okay? He said that he has two main problems with cryptocurrencies. Its transactional cost and lack of tethering. And the article says that's an ironic term of controversy surrounding the fact that there is a coin in the cryptocurrency space called Tether, which is really US dollar, is backed by US dollar. So this here will basically show that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because first of all, there is a cryptocurrency called Tether. And Tether is always worth $1. For you guys out there in the cryptocurrency world that don't know, there's a cryptocurrency called Tether, okay? And it's always worth $1. They make sure it stays worth $1, and it's supposed to be backed by the dollar. But this is the coin that a lot of people use when they earn $4,000 or $5,000 in Bitcoins, appreciate it, or they buy the Bitcoin at like 3,000, and then it shoots up to 15,000. Then they'll buy the Tether to lock in their win and hold that until they want to do another position. So a lot of people that trade cryptocurrencies or Ethereum or Monero or whatever currencies they're trading, they'll use the Tether to tether. Okay, so he's wrong there. Also, Bitcoin is a tether. Bitcoin is the actual coin that is used to tether and balance out all the coins. And I think Dave Lyons is here. Dave, I'm gonna let you speak on that for a little while. on so far what we read with this gentleman, the Nobel Peace Prize winner or Nobel Peace Prize puppet. We're going to find out after this article is over. What do you have to say so far about the article we read and the gentleman, Paul, what's his last name? Krugman
or something like that.
Oh, excuse me, not Crook. Krugman. Paul Krugman.
Paul Krugman.
Yeah, Krugman.
Well, like you said, Bitcoin is, because you might as well say Bitcoin is the reserve currency for all other cryptocurrencies. So all other cryptocurrencies could tether themselves to Bitcoin, because you could trade every other cryptocurrency for Bitcoin. Bitcoin could be tethered to USD Tether, which is tethered to the US dollar. So that's false what he just said right there. I mean, we could just break it down right there. Bitcoin is a reserve currency in its own that all the other cryptocurrencies could tether to, because every cryptocurrency does a trade with USD Tether. We know that. Only maybe the top 10 or something like that. I don't even know the correct number. But every other currency could tether to either Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, one of the top 5. You know what I'm saying? And they could all tether to Bitcoin, which could tether to USD Tether, which is tethered to the US dollar.
Okay,
so it hand tether.
So he said in here, and I quote, so he's talking about cryptocurrencies. He didn't say Bitcoin. He said his problem with cryptocurrency was that it has no ability to tether. See, it says right here, here it is. It said that he has 2 main problems with cryptocurrency. He didn't say Bitcoin. He said cryptocurrency. So I would assume when he said cryptocurrency, he's talking about all the cryptocurrencies. Now, we just said that Bitcoin itself is a coin that all the other coins tether. Plus, I just mentioned another cryptocurrency that is actually called Tether. So he knows what he's doing. That's what I'm showing you guys. Deceptive intelligence. Deceptive intelligence. He's coming in here trying to deceive the public to thinking Bitcoin is evil and it's the enemy, when in fact, you, Mr. Krugman, you the evil one, because you know what you're doing. Because remember, you're an economist. I'm sure you searched this and researched this and thoroughly researched the entire dynamics of cryptocurrency. You're not dumb. And don't play us as we're dumb, because the family cap machine, we're going to chop this up and spit it out like a shark in Shark Tank. So this is some hobbly gobbly, goobly gobbly bull. I don't want to say the rest of the word, but you know what it is. Bull, sugar, honey, iced tea. That's what it is. Some BS. Okay, now let's go further. We're going to break this down, family cap machine. Let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. Let's go toe to toe with the top economist, Nobel Prize winner. Let's go toe to toe with it. Now, we just average people. We don't know nothing. We don't know nothing, but we can go toe to toe with the best of them out there with what we know in this space. They can't handle us, can't understand what we know, because we got the truth. We understand the dynamics of everything that's going on. You can't pull that small time stuff on us, okay? Mr. Krugman argues that throughout history, money has generally evolved toward frictionless transactions. Hold up right there. Mr. Dave Lyons, do you got something to say about that? Frictionless transactions?
Every time you make a transaction, there's some friction. If I go try to send you $200 with a money pack, they gonna ask me for my ID. They gonna be like, look at this screen, tap, agree to this, say yes to this, and then we'll scan it and take your money. And we can't take it from a debit card. It has to be cash. You know what I'm saying? So exactly. Right now, if I go in there with my debit card, now you making me need to have cash. That's friction. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You asking me for my ID, you holding me up. Why you need to know my ID for me to buy a money pack, which I'm only allowed to really upload to my own card?
Exactly.
You know? So friction. Okay, so now let's move to the next statement. Let's go to the bank. Let's just say that I want to I got $100,000 in the bank, and I want to send Eric 50,000 right now just because that's my man. Friction. I'm gonna have friction because they gonna want to know why I'm sending $50,000, who I'm sending the $50,000 to. They gonna want my ID, his on my end, his ID on his end, and it's gonna take the money maybe 2-3 days to get to him.
But Mr. Krugman, Krugman, I call him Krugman. Mr. Krugman said there's no friction. It's a frictionless system, Dave. This is the Nobel Peace Prize winner, man, economist. Surely he knows better than minds from Detroit.
Well, maybe he's speaking from the 1%. It's frictionless for them because, you know, they causing everything. They can do everything in the background, you know, with no friction at all. So I guess it is a frictionless environment for them, not for us.
You know what? You sure are. And I'm going to say this, you guys. I started off talking about this transaction. I opened up a bank account with a corporation. I do that all the time. So this corporate account I set up by attorneys. I'm sure they know what they're doing. And it was actually LegalZoom, which is Robert Shapiro's company. One of the best attorneys in the world. He set up this corporation for me. The state of California has my corporation in good standings, okay? And they gave me the hardest time to set that account up over a year now. I mean, I could have probably pursued it. They told me I had to have the original filed documents at the state of California. I have never, ever heard that in my life because, again, my attorneys filed the original document, and the state of California never gives you the original document. But this is what I was told at the bank. You need the original document. I said, hold up. You can go on the state of California, Secretary of State, and pull up my corporation. I can't fake that. Nobody can fake that. I have the corporate articles here. I have my tax ID that's filed. I have all my documents right here. Well, we need the original document filed at the state of California. I have never, ever heard that in my life. Oh, this is under the new regulations. Again, people in the banks not understanding the new regulations, but the new regulations nevertheless are created to create even more friction for you with transactions in banking, okay? More friction. Okay, so look, so that happened, okay? And I kind of gave up on the bank. Actually, I paid another $25 to have my, them send me a copy of the original stamp because they won't give me the original paper. So just give me a copy of my corporate articles with an original stamp of California. Had that done. For some reason, the state of California never actually sent it to me. I didn't get that mail. So I walked back in the bank one day after about a year. I said, you know what? Let me see if I can just open up an account with this same account they told me I couldn't open up with. Went in there, opened the account up like that. Bam. Same documents I had a year ago. Go figure. So boom, I got somebody that actually knew what they were doing. Okay, so boom, set it up. Now, this account been going for 2 months. I get a call today from the bank that says, we're gonna have to set your account down because you have in your corporate documents one document that says my company's name and that's it. It doesn't say INC on the end, huh? But then when you pull up my corporation at the state of California, it actually says INC. And the way they set my bank account up at the bank, it actually says INC. In every document in all of my corporate papers, it says INC at the end. But on one document that I actually just signed, you know, my statement of information, it doesn't say INC. But in my statement that they have at the bank, it's in my documents when you pull up my corporation at the state of California. So I'm arguing with the lady. I'm like, look, you guys know that's the name of the company. You have a docket number for each corporation. You know, this is the same docket number. It's only one number for that corporation in each state. It's got my name, my personal name on the corp. It has my address. Everything matches up but that one document. So we argue for a little while. And so they're going to make me pay, you know, $45 or $75 to file the document again. I'm doing it online now. Tonight, actually, I'm doing it and send it to her. And nothing else has changed with my corp. But you're telling me that this system is frictionless, and they're doing everything they can to create friction for people with their accounts. And let's say you guys have a payment go through, but there's no money in your account to pay it. They're going to charge you with overdraft fee, even though nothing happened. That's friction. For me, that's friction. If I look up and I have $100 in overdraft fees, or even $35 in fees that never happened, the actual payment was rejected, I think that's creating friction. So let's go back into this thing. I can go over and over and over this stuff. Friction, 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 friction. When I send an international transaction, me and Strategic Man, we've done probably about 15, 20 of them. They said it take 48 hours, the banks. And I know people on the call are like, well, what are we going to do if we don't use the bank? We have a solution for you. This is why they are set with cryptocurrency, because it answers all your questions, and it can actually make you have really effortless transactions. It's too much friction with the banks, and you guys are so accustomed to it. You just walk in there and you just be financially harassed and financially, interrogated. You're used to it. But every time we sent the transaction overseas, they promised us it would take 48 hours. And there was some time when we needed it to get there because there was a timeline that we had to get it there to get certain deals or discounts. We never made it. It always was a week, 2 weeks, and even sometimes 3 weeks. And it didn't reach in 2 weeks. It was like this. The transaction got lost. After 2 weeks, I had to contact the manager in Europe, and the manager here of international transactions had to contact the manager there in Europe over international transactions, and they had to locate the funds. Every time I did an international transaction, that was a very friction creating transaction. So let me go back to this Krugman. I'm doing that on purpose. Krugman. Let me go back to Krugman, Nobel Peace Prize winner. And why did they give the Nobel Peace Prize to an economist that's in total compliance to the international bankers at this time?
I was just getting ready to say, during a time when this economic chaos going on in undertones, they pick an economist to get a Nobel Peace Prize to. Go figure.
But not just any economist. Economists is trying to throw Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and the people's ability to transact by themselves in the trash.
Exactly.
Okay.
But, I mean, you don't know if they gave him that mission or not. I mean, I don't know. He could personally just be him. He could just feel that. Or
I sure like to meet him and duke it out, intellectually duke it out with him, because he couldn't handle the fire that we got, that we're going to shoot at.
Meet us.
He wouldn't meet us right now.
He would think he too good to meet us, bro.
Well,
you know it.
I would let the people figure that one out, because
I told you we should I told you we should email him though and tell him we want to debate with him.
Well, you know, Dave Lyons, you're from Detroit, I'm from Compton, and they're gonna look at us as some two disrespectful young men. So how dare you go against the Nobel Peace Prize winner?
Hey man, can I ask you a question? What is the definition of like what does it take? I mean, I know you went through some people who won the Nobel Peace Prize and all of that, but if you was to Google that, like what does it take to win the Nobel Peace Prize?
Humanitarian, man. You have to be one of the best. You have to be a humanitarian. A person is for the human upliftment. That's why Mother Teresa got it. Martin Luther King, Gandhi, that type of individual, man, that has done tremendous things for people in wars or starvation. Like Princess Diana, somebody like that would have been a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Somebody who had a tremendous amount of love and commitment for the human race, and they sacrificed on a huge level, and they were very moral and righteous, and I read the characteristics. That's what the Nobel Peace Prize winner is supposed to be, or somebody like Nakamoto.
So this guy did what?
Obama won it.
Obama won it.
Okay, so this guy, and so if they put all the Nobel Peace Prize winners on stage, and you got Barack Obama, Princess Di, And then you got Krugman. Like,
Yeah, Krugman.
where does he fit into the
I think you
whole
might have
puzzle? Like,
Einstein too, I think. I'm not.
that's what I'm saying. That this is why I asked the question, because where does this guy? Where does he even warrant a Nobel Peace Prize being an economist?
I don't know, bro, but we're going to find out. We're going to do some research on this guy and find out why he won that, okay? But I'm just looking at the article, and so far, I'm not liking this guy because he has a lot of statements that's not accurate, not just about cryptocurrency, but even about the current system that we under. And then he goes further to say that throughout history, money has gradually evolved toward frictionless transactions, culminating in the current monetary regime centered around credit and debit cards and other types of digital payment methods. And I'm going to stop there, which now are having a tremendous amount of resistance from hackers, which is one of the #1 problems in the world with credit cards and debit cards. It is having a lot of friction because it's too outdated, and these sophisticated technological people are able to hack your credit card. Do you know they got a gadget, man? They can drive down your street, and while you're sitting in your house, pick up every credit card in the neighborhood and steal your information. So it's a lot of friction with credit cards, debit cards. In fact, when you first get a credit card at any credit card company, at any financial company, I tell people this all the time. For the last, I don't know how long, 5, 10 years, when you get a credit card, it's in the fraud department. It's in the fraud department until you make a couple payments, because it's so much fraud right now with credit cards and debit cards. And even on your own debit card that you have, so you make a few transactions, they stop it and they call you to verify all these transactions. Too much friction, man. Too much friction. It's not frictionless. It is inundated with friction all over the place. Then he says, then he says here, Bitcoin, he says, represents a 300-year evolutionary regression because it reintroduces friction into the monetary ecosystem in the form of the cost associated with mining transactions and validating the blockchain history. Now, you're talking about cryptocurrencies, but then when you say mining transaction costs, you're only talking about Bitcoin Core. When you're not talking about Bitcoin Cash, which is like way cheaper in transactions, Ethereum, there's Dash, all of these other coins are way cheaper in transactions than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is probably the highest in transactions right now until they resolve whatever problems that they're trying to fix with the Lightning Network or whatever. But as of right now, Bitcoin Cash is, I mean, significantly cheaper than Bitcoin in transactions. So you don't care how you transact your money, right? Just transact it. And you're going to do it the cheapest and the fastest way you can. So Bitcoin Cash is the cheapest and the fastest way to do that. But let's go further. Let's deal with this a little bit. So he says that because it creates friction because of the mining, the cost of mining transactions. Hold up right there. Hold up right there. So you think to cut down trees and make paper and to put ink on that paper is no cost? Oh, there's a cost to make fiat currency, my buddy. There's a printing press they have. There's also, you know, you got the Brinks trucks that got to go and distribute money. Then you got Brinks trucks that got to pick up money from banks. I mean, there is cost. You got to pay people to be accountants. You got to pay for all this different stuff to create those currencies. And then after a while, oh, we don't like those hundreds no more. Get rid of them. We're going to make some new hundreds with a little strip in it. This is a cost for that. Everything costs. There's nothing you can do without cost. But when you talk about Bitcoin is not worth it because there's a mining transaction cost, or there's a cost in manufacturing or creating the Bitcoins, guess what? I say this. There's a cost to pay for freedom. Freedom ain't free, okay? So I would rather pay the cost to create a currency that we can transact freely. I'd rather pay the cost that for a currency that we could openly, uncensored, unregulated, send at any time to one another, that creates more economic freedom. I would rather pay that cost than to pay the cost of not having economic freedom. I would rather pay that cost than to pay the cost of somebody stopping my transaction. I would rather pay the cost of mining fees to create a free currency that's transacted amongst anybody than to pay the cost of them shutting down my bank account, freezing my bank account, or the economy going crashing and taking the value of our dollars until nothing. I would rather pay the cost of a currency that we control the value through free trade and allow the free market trade to create the value. I would rather pay that cost, Mr. Krugman, than to have you take me down with the American economy, or to have all my life savings in the bank and then the bank close, or the country freezes everybody's accounts, or the country goes into default and can't pay back the debt that's at, what is it now, $30 trillion or something, 20-something trillion dollars, you know, and if we can't pay that debt back, I don't want to be caught up in that. See? So I would rather pay the cost of the mining transactions, because you're going to pay a cost somewhere, but the cost is too high for me to pay my liberty and my freedoms and my sovereignty. That price is too high. I'm not going to pay that cost. I'm not going to build up wealth in my life and leave my children with something that you can just take. I don't want to pay that cost. So I would rather pay the mining transactions cost to have a currency that's open, borderless, censorship free, that's allowed to transact at any time and nobody could give it permission and nobody could stop it. And the global economy could grow on its own without any restrictions. So I would rather pay those mining transactions, Mr. Krugman. Then he writes here, he said against the history of money, the enthusiasm of cryptocurrency seemed very odd because it goes exactly in the opposite of the long run trend. He is so right. And what has been the long-term trend? I see Strategic Man laughing. What has been the long-term trend? Let's see. Okay, in 1970, one of the most prestigious African-American communities here in Los Angeles called View Park, my first home was there, Windsor Hills, Ladera, Baldwin Hills. This is in the top 10 African-Americans prestigious communities in the country. You could buy a house there for $40,000 in 1977. And so now you can't touch nothing there under 1.6 million, okay? So what is the long-term trend here, okay? Well, everybody can say, well, you know, hey, you know, the value of homes go up. Okay, I'm a real estate appraiser. That could be true in certain sense, but what they don't understand is the more money, the more currency printed, the more of that commodity it takes for you to buy the same amount of things. So it's hyperinflation of that dollar. That dollar is being inflated because there's so many of them being printed. It's taking more of those things to buy the same thing. So it's not as much as it is the property going up, but it is the price and the value of that dollar going down. Because with properties, you have a thing called depreciation. Properties depreciate. You got age, you got what they call effective time, or the time frame, or the usefulness of time of this property. You got termite, you got all kind of decaying factors, okay? But what people don't understand is it's more so the devaluation of the currency, more so than it is the devaluation of the property. It's the devaluation of that currency. So this is the long-term trend. What is the long-term trend in America? Let me show you the long-term trend. We're gonna show y'all the long-term trend in America's economics right now. And we're gonna show you guys that right now. Let me show it to you what the long-term trend is. I'm gonna pull it up right now. The long-term trend. Hold up, public. Let's see the long-term trend of this economy that he's talking about that we're trying to set back, okay? He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. I'll give him a Nobel Peace Prize for that fact alone. He's absolutely right. I want to set this thing all the way back. Let me see. Okay. There it is right there. Now I can share my screen and do my thing. Here we go right here. This is the national debt. This is the national debt. U.S. national debt. You see this? It's going up. This is 2008. It was $10 trillion. In 2008, of this day, 2008, the national debt was $10 trillion. See that? Okay. It's going up, going up, going up. Let's look at the national debt right now. Let's look at it right now. So he's definitely right. We definitely want to break this trend of what's going on here. Where's the trend? Where's 2018? Let's look at 2018. National debt clock. Where we at? I think this here right here, real time. Okay. So this is what Mr. Krugman is talking about that I'm trying to break, and our peers and everybody in the cryptocurrency space who's fighting for liberation, and we're fighting for equality of finance and the economics around the world. And we're fighting for equality when it comes to banking and people having access to being able to move their money freely, okay, without any restrictions and without anybody standing there watching everything and taking and exploiting from you before it reaches from point A to point B. Okay, now look, $21 trillion. Look at all of this debt going as we speak. Everything here, you know, is housing markets, all this stuff, debt in the housing market, student loans. Student loans is increasing higher than any other debt in America right now. It's appreciating faster than even inflation. It's appreciating faster than any other factor in this country right now. It's the fastest growing appreciating factor is education, you know, and it's getting to a point where only people who come from families with money is going to be able to have any education unless you get, you know, scholarships and stuff like that. But other than that, you're going to have to just have money to get education or you're going to be asked out. So this is the trend that he's talking about we trying to break. You damn right we trying to break this, because this is going to break the country. And this is going to steal the wealth from all of our children. This is going to steal the future of wealth from our children because they're going to be born into a world of debt. Okay? So you think the IRS is chasing people now? Give it another 5 years. They're going to be chasing people to pay this debt because this is the money that the Federal Reserve and the central banks give to your governments that your government are holding you and your children accountable to pay. So I don't know how much Donald Trump spent on bombing Syria, but it didn't do us any good. And there was billions of dollars spent on bombs that you guys didn't approve of, and your taxpayer dollars was taken. He didn't approve of Congress. He didn't go to Congress. He didn't go to the House of Senate. He didn't go to the House of Representatives. He just bombed on his own and spent taxpayers' money, which is going to be added to this right here. Okay? So, on the contrary, Mr. Krugman, you're absolutely right. I'm trying to break this monetary system and bring it back 300 years and reset it and let the people regulate their own currency and determine what's valuable and how to transact and when to transact and where to transact. Okay? And so he said, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that, Ellis? Antonio? Joe, why would you guys want to do that? Why would you want to stop countries from being bombed without your permission? Why would you want to stop me from misappropriating your tax money? Why would you do that? Okay? Why would you want to stop me from printing money whenever I want without any gold or anything backing it? Why would you stop me? Okay? That's what he's saying. Okay? What problem does it solve? This guy is hilarious, boy. He should have been a comedian, man. He would have been great with Bernie Mac. I have yet to see a clear answer to that question. We don't have time on this video right now to go into all the reasons why people need to control the currency and not governments. They have abused that right. They have superly imposed on people's rights. They have determined now that you're not even capable of controlling your own revenue. We must control your revenue. We must tell you when, where, and how you can transact. And we must tell you how much of your money you can have. In fact, you know, it's like 40-something% of your money goes to taxes. And the problem with that is not that I don't want to be a person that contributes to my country, because I understand that we need street lights and we need streets. We need to pay some good police officers, not the bad ones. We need to pay some good police officers to do their job. We need to pay fire departments. There's things that we need to pay for. But there's a lot of funds being misappropriated and you don't have no say-so over it. There's congressmen having freak parties. There's all kind of unscrupulous things going on in the White House. They're bombing countries without the permission of the people. They're cutting back on education, but they're adding to the prisons. From the time you're in the 3rd grade, they do these tests in the communities. And based on those tests, they know how many prisons they're going to build. It's big business now. It's on Wall Street. Okay? We need to put more money into our education, to our schools. Okay? I just saw LeBron James now recently taking his own money and building a school. But he's a taxpayer. Half of what LeBron James makes will be taxed. And he's taking his own money and starting a school in the inner cities. Now, he need a Nobel Peace Prize for that. How about that? Because he don't have to do that. And most of our athletes are trained not to get involved in politics, not to get involved in none of that. Just play ball and mind your business. We paying you enough money to entertain. Just entertain. But this man has made a point to be very active in a lot of things in his community, and I commend him for that. Okay? So look, let's go back to Mr. Krugman. Mr. Crook. Okay, while conceding that the governments have occasionally abused their privilege to create fiat money, you think so? Krugman says that the controversial central banking system has done its job quite well. And again, Mr. Krugman, I must concur with you on that point. They have done their job quite well. But what is the job of these people? Go read some of the inception of the first central banks in England. Go read some of the statements of some of the Rothschilds when they said, we don't care who runs the country. We must control the currencies of all countries around the world. And they must extract the wealth from the people and control the governments and make the governments cripple to their will so they could control from the back and extract all the wealth from everybody else and make people prisoners under their control financially to their direction, their opinion, and where they want to go. So they did a great job. He's right. Central banks have done their job well. They bankrupt countries. They just sent Greece into economic ruin. They just sent the whole global economy in 2008 into economic ruin. Okay? They found a way to become control the American economy through the Federal Reserve Act in 1913. There's presidents that died fighting central banks taking control of this country. There were presidents that fought and died and were assassinated for the fact of not allowing a centralized system to control the monetary in this country. Okay, so they done a great job, and they got the people so damn deceived and tricked out, and you know, they got the people so lullabied to sleep, and they have the people enjoying being financially interrogated and financially harassed and financially frisked every time you go in the bank. They have the people enjoying being turned down for transactions. Oh, mama, I couldn't send you the money because the bank said I can't send you that money that way because you look like fraud, mama. So I got to, you actually try to explain that bull crap to your mama. I leave the bank mad, pissed off. How they going to tell me what I can do with my money? I don't try to explain that foolishness. It's just tyranny right now going on. It's just tyranny, that they are charging people in America 25% to send money to their country, or some of the people in this country that live are from different countries. And America is like that. America is a melting pot. Everybody from America is from other countries. And so what they've done is they've created this remittance fees. So when you send the money to different countries, that's one of the biggest banking fees that is being made in this country, which is remittance fees. So they're exploiting people, who just want to send money back home for their family or whatever. This system got to stop. This has got to stop. It's just going too far, and technology now has allowed us to say no more. We don't have to submit to that anymore. We have options. We have ways that we can avert all of these different nasty things, and it's too much that we've succumbed to. We're giving up too much rights, too much of our economic freedoms, and it's starting to cost us. And we're wondering why we don't have no damn money, or we wondering why we living from check to check. Hell, half of your money leaving you. You don't even realize that there's so many different banking fees and tax fees on you. That's why you're working so hard. You're working so hard for them to be rich. So he's right. They have done a great job so far in what their intentions are and what their purpose is. And look at that purpose. It's very sinister. It's not a good thing. It's a very sinister thing. Okay, he said he said also they did a great job in providing users with low friction transactions and stable purchasing power. No, there is more and more friction in transactions in America under this American money laundering bullcrap, anti-terrorism, Patriot Act. All of that stuff is just made up to make you guys lose more of your rights. There's even documentaries on how our government had a lot to do with that whole 911. We're not going to get into that, but it just, none of that makes sense. But right after that, all of a sudden, every quote unquote little terrorist thing that was supposed to be done, they caught them. It's funny how they catch them right before they do it. Like, they've caught so many hundreds of people now right before they did it. Like, how you catch everybody before they do it? But you couldn't catch the people with the 911. I just really question a lot of things. But right after that, they passed the most unpatriotic act in the world, and they call it the Patriot Act. And under the Patriot Act, they can come right now, grab me out of my house, send me to jail without a search warrant, without a judge approval, without even giving me charges. And that is the most unpatriotic thing that has ever happened in America. It's pretty much like the old German Gestapo techniques. Okay, they come right in here, black boot, kick my door, take me to jail, and say, oh, it's national security. It's Homeland Security. They don't even have to ask no more questions after that. They don't have to tell my family nothing. They don't have to tell the media nothing. That's kind of scary, man. That's kind of scary. How you gonna take me somewhere and hold charges against me that I don't even know what the charges are? So this is criminal. You can probably guess where this is going. Okay, it's not useful as a medium of exchange or store of value. Okay, now what is a store of value? He said Bitcoin is not a store of value. Okay, now I want to see, what is the definition of a store of value? Let's look up the definition of a store of value. Now again, this guy is a Nobel Peace Prize winning economist. He understands what a store of value is. Okay, now let's see, a store of value. Okay, it's pretty much self-explanatory, but I like to go to the dictionary, and I like to do it that way and show you guys. I don't want you to just say my definition, but a store of value is a function of an asset that can be saved retrieved and exchanged at a later time and be particularly useful when retrieved. The most common store of value in modern times has been money. Yes, currency or a commodity like a precious metal or something like that. Okay, so we get that. Okay, remember the definition of store of value is something that is like an asset that can be retrieved and exchanged at a later time. So Bitcoin has wallets, correct? We have our own wallets, and you can have 100 different wallets, and you can store the Bitcoin in a wallet or wallets, or you can retrieve it off of the digital and put it on a piece of paper, the code, and put it in the safe and store that. And then at a later date, you can take that paper, retrieve it out your safety deposit box, and put it back on a digital platform, and you can retrieve it at a later date. Now, we all know that Bitcoin, let's look at this. Look at this. He said it's not a store of value. Okay, now when you say store of value, you guys listening to this, this is not talking about, oh, Bitcoin was at yesterday 8,000 ounces at 7,000. Store of value indicates time. It indicates long term. That's what store of value indicates, not every day up and down. Because if that's your definition, you guys watching this, then the money is up and down all the time too. The Japanese yen up and down, security bonds up and down, gold up and down. Everything is up and down whenever there's a real market of people that's actually exchanging, buying and selling. Because some people, when it goes up and they make a lot of money, they dump. And if you have a lot of big elephants in that market that have a lot of that product that dump at the same time, it could indicate the whole market to go down a little bit because these people are liquidating. Okay, so, but it'll go back up again. Why? Because it's a store of value. It's something that stores value. Okay, now let's look at this. I want to look at, where was I going to go to look at that store of value? I looked at store of value. There was something else I was going to show you guys. Oh, yeah, I was going to go to Bitcoin right quick. I'm going to go to Coin Market Cap. Let's go to Coin Market Cap right quick. So he said it's not a store of value. Now let me share my screen again, because like I said, you guys, we can bang with the biggest dogs in the economic industry with the truth. It's not that I'm this big badass economist. I'm just a regular guy with the truth, with common sense. You can't defeat the truth. The truth is the truth. And if you want to try to, you're going to make me look even smarter, because you got to come up with a whole lot of lies to try to cover one truth. That's how powerful the truth is. So Bitcoin right here, $7,600. It's in the red. Well, let's go do something right now. Let's look at the graphs. Okay. And he said it's not a store of value. Let's look at the graphs and let's see. Okay. Let's go. This is the short term. Let's go back to, what's this for? Let's go back a year ago. Oh, here's some right here. Here we go right here. This is that huge, crazy time when Bitcoin shot up to 20,000. Okay, let me blow this up a little bit. Okay, now 2013, Bitcoin was what? 1,500. Today, Bitcoin is what? 7,000. I would think that's a store of value, because if you held on to the Bitcoin for 5 years and you had like $1 million in Bitcoins here, now just 5 years later, you're sitting on $8 million of Bitcoins without doing anything. So that's what a store of value is. Okay, let's look at a year ago, 2017. What's this? July 2017 and July, Bitcoin was $2,300. And again, today, Bitcoin in July is $7,600. So the last year, it was a stored unit of value. Let me see if I could find something that's older than that. Let's go 2013, December 2013. Bitcoin was 1,100. So again, Bitcoin just really hit its height around 2013. It started in 2009. So anybody that would have gotten to this industry in the beginning, Bitcoin was as low as 10 cents when it first started. So people who had 100 million, like Roger Ver, who had a couple of $1 million, I don't know how much he had, he was a millionaire. Now he's a billionaire because he put his money in what is called a stored unit of value. And it's not just a stored unit of value, it's actually a stored appreciating unit of value that continues to appreciate over time because we have this difficulty rate that me and Dave was just talking about today, a difficulty rate. And what that means is every time the Bitcoin is mined, of course there's a cost. That's what creates value. We don't want something that doesn't have value. So because it costs money to produce, of course the people who have to produce it are going to charge money, or it creates what is called a market value for that product. So as Bitcoin becomes more and more difficult to mine, the more difficult something is to retrieve, guess what? The higher the price of that thing is. So, you know, we're in a good market here of stored unit of value, I would say. So let me go ahead and, I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't know if I shared that. I'm going to share it now. If you guys saw this graph, I think I did share it. I just unshared my screen. So yeah, so even if Bitcoin, you got in 2014, Bitcoin was at $800 a coin. So it would be a great place to store your value. Because if you had valuable, you had any kind of currency, euro, yen, whatever currency you had. If you had 100,000 or 20,000 or 10,000, if you had $10,000 and you bought Bitcoins here, right now, back in 2014, if you had 10,000, and I say you had 10 of these coins, or maybe 11, you had 11 of these coins. Let's pull up my calculator. Okay, so let's say you had 10,000, which is not a lot of money. So a lot of people in the world had 10,000 since the time of 2012 or 14 to today. Let's say you had $30,000, $40,000. The average person since 2014 has made 20,000, 30,000. Okay, let's just give it a given. That's a low ball. Some people made a whole lot more, but let's just say $30,000 of savings. And you had $30,000 of savings divided by $833. You bought the Bitcoin in. Instead of putting your money in the bank, you put it in Bitcoin. You had 36 Bitcoins. Okay, now today, Bitcoin is $7,600. So $7,600 times 36. Your 30 grand is now $270,000. I would think that's more than a store of value. I would think that's a stored appreciating value. That's something that you don't even have. You could have just took 30,000 of your retirement and just set it in Bitcoin 3 years ago, and you would have made $240,000 appreciation. You can't get that nowhere. Not in the bank. You might be able to get in real estate if you're out there working your ass off and buying and selling properties, and you in the game just flipping properties. You might have been able to make that, but this is doing nothing. So I got the proof, the facts. He's just talking. I got numbers, data that I'm showing you right here. He's just talking. Okay, let's go back to this guy's article. We're almost done, you guys. I know we've been.
Hey, let me put in a point there on that stored unit of value. Let me play devil's advocate. So he said Bitcoin not a stored unit of value, and you just did them figures. So what if you bought gold instead of Bitcoin? They say gold is a stored unit of value.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bought gold, I could look real quick on my phone. I got the commodities app. I just want to see real quick how much was gold in 2014. I'll just go back to
Oh, I think it
2013.
was about, I want to say $900.
Okay, so it's $900 an ounce, and it's like 12.50
It
or
made some money, but
a little
nowhere
bit,
near as much.
nowhere near as much at all. But he's trying to say Bitcoin is not a store of unit value, but they sit back and lay back on gold, which is manipulated.
Yes, through futures and options. And but what's going to happen is when the currency crashes here around the world, as they are crashing, they won't be able to control that price of gold. It's going to just go, but it's stupid, bananas. But I want to say this. We're going to go ahead and finish up this article because this guy here is really a asshole, if you want to ask me, because he's trying to stop people from being free, economically free, man. And I get mad when I hear somebody that's trying to control you and trying to put you in further debt and oppression and financial disarray and dissatisfaction. I'm upset, man, that he has the Nobel Peace Prize and he's trying to send people into financial extinction. He's trying to send people into a Great Depression if he continues to lead people in a direction that we're being led in. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish the article. It's just sickening to me. Is it that Krugman betrays his true problem with cryptocurrency? If it is indeed digital cash and digital gold, people hold cash in large denomination. He claims for one person, criminal activities, including tax evasion. Bitcoin, he says, is constrained to the same use case. So basically, he's saying, and I'm going to stop there. We're not going to read no more of this crap. He
You ain't
said,
gonna get to the part where he said it don't solve no problems.
yeah, no, we got too much. I might look at the rest of it, but he said that cryptocurrency has one thing that it does, and that's tax evasion. You see the deceptive language he's using? He's saying the only purpose it is for people to evade taxes. But I just showed you guys what cryptocurrency could alleviate the 2.5 billion people around the world that don't have adequate banking. And as long as they got a cell phone, as long as they got a regular phone, these people can have access to banking. They can transact. They don't have to go to MoneyGram or Western Union. As long as they got a cell phone, they can receive and transact money for their businesses. They don't have to have ID or a birth certificate to be able to involve themselves in the global economy. And I think that's a great thing. So you're saying everybody in the world is trying to evade taxes? Everybody's a criminal, huh? Come on, man. This is ridiculous. It is a lie. And there's so many other creations coming out of blockchain technology that it's not even funny. And I don't even want to entertain that guy with that. But I think he said something else here. That's about it, Dave. He said it's worthless. It has no functions in the world. And I just want to tell the public out there that it's time and it's a new day for a new currency. It's a new way of currency and a new way of transacting. It's that time. The old systems are going out, they're decaying, and they have no more use in this world, and they're not scaling to a level to continue to economically create stimulated economies. They're actually suffocating economies, and they're actually suffocating the average person, daily family, from being prosperous. And when a country or a currency gets to a point where it's stagnating your financial prosperity, you got to change up or suffer and continue to be suffocated. And that's not what we're about in the Family Cash Scene. We're about prosperity. We're about economic development, economic knowledge, and elevating, not just in my knowledge, but in my financial status and elevating, in my business and in my self-worth and in my accomplishments and my financial gain, and we're about generational wealth. And you're not going to get generational wealth in this kind of economic system. You're going to have to retrain and rethink your whole game plan. And that's why, like I said yesterday, all the people that dropped out of college are the ones that's the most successful right now. Bill Gates, Bill Gates, John McAfee, you have Mark Zuckerberg. All these guys dropped out of college. None of them finished college. and even Roger Ver. These guys are billionaires. They dropped out of college and they figured out, hey, I got to come up out of this system and retrain myself to think what's in accord to what works, not what they telling me, but what actually works. And that's what cryptocurrency is about. It's retraining how you think and helping you to see the problems in the economic system and escape it and maneuver around it so you guys and your family can be prosperous and you can get some generational wealth from getting in this industry before it's too late, and capture some of the wealth that's being generated and use that to continue to push your family to the next level and the next level. But if you keep listening to guys like this, you're going to end up being in the bread line, you know, because, you know, Donald Trump want to give you everybody on EBT a box once a month, a box of food, you know, and that's it. You just get a box. And if the food's stale, oh well, you know. So if you listen to this guy, then you're going to be in that box line to get that box of food. So you guys got anything to add to that before we get ready to close out this video? Dave, did you want to add something to that?
I think we pretty much covered it, except for the fact that he said cryptocurrency don't solve any problems.
Would you want to elaborate on that for a little bit? Some of the problems that it solves?
We've been elaborating on it the whole call. We've been doing nothing but talking about problems that cryptocurrency solve. I mean, yes. It gets away from all the friction that we deal with when we dealing with banks. I mean, that right there in itself, without even going into the whole big elephant in the room problem that it solves, is enough. You know. It can get rid of corruptness. I mean, you know, it gets rid of third parties, useless third parties, people in the middle of transactions just catching money. You know, we look at so many industries where we look at like, why is this guy here? Like brokers, it's a broker if you want to ship something. It's a broker for this. You want to rent something, you can only get to the people that got the trucks through a broker. And this broker, why does he exist? Like, I mean, cryptocurrency solve a whole bunch of problems. I mean, a whole bunch of problems.
Yeah, a whole bunch of problems. You sure
like
right.
I said, I ain't gonna get into the elephant in the room, but you know what I'm saying? It solves a whole bunch of problems.
It also solves the problem of hackers, because a lot of people could hack. You know, they can hack your account because you have to divulge all your information when you transact. Now they ask you for your name, your social, and all the stuff. So hackers get into these servers and then they got access to everybody's information. Well, with these transactions, we don't need to use our personal information to transact value. So the hacking problem is solved. Also, the other thing that's solved is these companies, these major corporations, selling your information. See, that's what they don't tell you. When you divulge all your information to transact, then they sell your information to marketers and advertisers and product providers, you know, and you don't get nothing off of that. And so there's so much corruption and so many problems that go down with the way we transact. This will solve a lot of those problems. But one of the greatest things that will solve, it will give access to people to transact that may not been able to transact because of whatever reasons. They couldn't have a bank account. So without a bank account, people can get engaged and transact and start doing business and commerce that will stimulate global economy. So that's what we need. We need stimulation, and we don't need regulation to stop and stifle transactions. So that's one of the greatest things that we need is free trade. Not NAFTA, but real free trade, that people can trade freely, unregulated, when, where they want. They don't have to wait till Monday till the bank opens. They can transact now. They don't have to wait till this check clear for 3 days. They can transact in seconds. And time is money, and money is time. So with that, you guys, we're going to go ahead and close out this thing. And again, you guys want to learn about money. If you guys like the information that we're divulging on the Family Capture Scene, if you guys like the clarity that we're giving you guys about what's going on in the world, where you're at, and what needs to be done, and if you want to learn more about generational wealth, how to position yourselves for this great technology that's disrupting money, and not just money, it's disrupting 19, 20 different industries, that we're going to get into later in some of our courses, click that link right there. Click the like button. Subscribe to the Family Cash Machine. You can go to the Family Cash Machine, the Family Cash Machine right now. Subscribe for one of the free classes. We'll send you guys a free ebook, The Greatest Exchange of Wealth in History, and become a part of this team and start learning more about how you can save your family and maneuver. Even if this economy crashes, you're going to be all right. So with that, you guys, we're going to go ahead and sign out again. Grab that link, like this page, subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you guys on the next video. All right, Family Cash Machine, I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.